Hey everyone, I'm Bueller from Comics with Bueller, and you're watching Comic Book Addicts, and that's Larry Hama right behind me. Very cool. Later.
That is very cool. What's up, y'all? Comic Book Addicts. This is episode 26. It's Monday, July 10th, and it's the start of a brand new week. And I hope so far that yours is going well. Had just a pretty much a normal week. I went to work and hopped on a couple of live streams and picked up a couple of cool books. And I got in a package from Midtown Comics when I got home from work today. So I got a few books to show you guys real quick. And I also wanted to show you for a specific reason. But I was hopping on live streams. Like I said, I jumped on Friday. I jumped on Biggie's Comic Book Collectors Club and was hanging out with those guys and had a blast. So shout out to Biggie Shack and Bleecker Street and Papa Willie and all those guys. I had a blast hanging out with them, and it was a lot of fun. And then Saturday, Tony normally would do his live stream, but he was out of town. So I went over to Remy Q's channel and hung out in the comments and watched that and enjoyed that. And then yesterday I jumped on and hung out with Collecting with Durs on his Sunday night sesh at 6 p.m. And that was a lot of fun. And I wanted to talk about, while I'm talking about Collecting with Durs, he's got his 1K giveaway coming up. And that's part of the reason why I ordered this package that I have sitting next to me. And I wanted to show you guys these books really fast. But it was leading up to one of the books I'll be giving away in his 1K giveaway. So I'm not sure exactly when he's going to do that. But I picked up this Superman John Kent. This is issue 3, just because I'm on that run right now. And it's the only issue that I was missing. And I picked up this Trish Forstner cover for issue 2, because that's the only Forstner cover that I'm missing for all the issues in the run. But I picked this up, though. That's the whole reason I wanted to show you guys this. This is a really cool, it's a UV cover for Something is Killing the Children, issue 1. And it's signed by James Tynan. It's kind of, well, it's not really going to come through on camera, but it's awesome, guys. It's a UV cover for Something is Killing the Children. And it's signed by James Tynan. You can see right there. And there's a certificate of authenticity on the back. But anyways, I'll be giving that away on Collecting with Durs 1K giveaway. So whenever he announces that, that'll be one of the giveaways. So stay tuned for that. I wanted to talk for a minute about a live stream that me and my buddy Frank from Frank's BS are planning. Still kind of putting it together, but it's going to be called You Collect What? And it's going to be centered around hardcore collectors. And I'll throw up this on the screen. But yeah, it's going to be like a collector show and tell. It's going to be centered around hardcore collectors, a show and tell where we get to the bottom of what it is that makes them love it and have a passion and drive to continue collecting. It's going to be like a bi-weekly show, probably maybe every like 3 weeks. But anyways, the reason I'm talking about this is we need collectors. We need collectors of all kinds. If you're a collector of Barbie, G.I. Joe, if you collect crystals and gemstones, pretty much anything besides weapons. We want to weapons or anything illegal. I should say that. We want to hear from you. We want to have you on this new live stream. So hit me up on IG or hit up Frank from Frank's BS on IG if that sounds like something you'd be interested in. CBC nominations are open, and I'm going to pass this off and play a clip from Brian LCS about those. So,
hey YouTube, Brian LCS, and just a friendly reminder that the Comic Book Community Award nominations are currently open. They close August 5th. So visit cbcawards.org to nominate your favorite content creators and channels in the comic book community today. Make sure your voice is heard.
Yes, make sure your voice is heard, y'all. You have until August 5th. It's very important, man. Get your votes in. A lot of deserving channels out there, a lot of deserving creators. So yeah, make sure to get those in. Next week, I'll have Charlotte Gaston back from Cadus. She works at a rehabilitation place, and she's going to be coming back again. This will be her second appearance on Comic Book Addicts. She'll be hanging out and talking some really interesting recovery stuff with us. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Then the next week after that, I'm actually, for the first time in 28 episodes of Comic Book Addicts, I will be doing an open panel. I'm going to just put the link out for everybody, and anybody, it's going to be open topic, open panel. Everybody's welcome to join. So that's what I'll be doing that week. And then to wrap up July, on July 31st, we're going to have Tom Brayfogle, which, if you're not sure who that is, if you're not familiar, he is the creator of How I Became a Shoplifter. And he's also the drummer for a band by the name of Reliant K. So I'm looking forward to that one. But that's going to be wrapping up July. That's going to be wrapping up July for Comic Book Addicts. See who all we got in here. Looking forward to tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is writer creator of Kingsville. Sent me a copy of this book, and it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. So looking forward to talking to him about that tonight. His name is Thomas Huls. What's up, C Bizzle? Glad you could make it out, man. Trev, what's up? How you doing? Durs, glad you could make it out. He says hello, my beautiful homies. I dropped my vape. We got Mike, Evil's Comics. What's up, Mike? Comic Cap. I got a little behind on the comments. Sorry, you guys. Comic Cap. What's up, man? Gene Malo. What's going on, brother? Glad you could make it out. Let's see. Dr. Von Hoot's in the house. Hoot! Hope you're doing well. Let's see who else we got. Kenneth Bird. What's up, Kenneth? Hope your week has started off well. We got Beckerman in the house. Shout out, Beckerman. Hope you're doing well, brother. Let's see. Trying to make sure we're not missing anybody. I think we pretty much got it all. All right. Well, I want to get to the guests because, like I was saying before, my guest tonight is not only a fellow comic book collector, but I wanted him to come on the stream tonight to talk to us about his very own comic that he has titled Kingsville. It's an action-packed title from World at War Comics. So, guys, help me welcome Thomas Huls onto the live stream.
What's up, Scott? How you doing, man?
What's up, Thomas? How you doing, man?
Hanging in there. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, glad we could finally work it out where you could come hang out with me tonight and talk about this awesome book. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your collecting and things of that sort also. But first off, man, tell us a little bit about yourself for the people at home that may not be familiar. Who are you and where are you from? All that good stuff.
Yeah. So I'm a SoCal guy, born and raised here, still here. I'm 48 years old, so 48 years of Southern California. Married, got 4 kids, work in the grocery industry, have for 30 years.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Oh, yeah. Right on, man. Yeah. I work for a company called Chosen Foods. We make avocado cooking oil. So, but I've worked for several companies over the last 30 years. And I live near Palm Springs. So it's really hot today. It's about 100 degrees. Supposed to get up to 105 this week. But wow. It's literally hell. So we just stay inside for about 3 months until things cool down and we go back outside.
Yeah. Jeez, man. I thought it was hot here. Jeez, that's crazy.
We have humidity. We don't have humidity. So it's pretty dry. So it's a little bit more bearable. Okay. I think 105 is better than 85 in humidity, to be honest. I travel and I think you got to be born in it to be able to handle it.
It's a very humid heat here. That's what's so bad about it here. It's just the humidity will get you.
Exactly, yeah. But I am a lifelong comic book fan. Been getting comics since I was about 9 or 10 years old, riding my bike to the local bookstore. I've always loved comic books. But, you get married, have kids, you start your work life, and, you try to stay up on your collection. But when you start having a bunch of kids, right, you got to put it on the back burner. And now they're all older. And so, I could start getting crazy again. So for the last, maybe 8 or 9 years, I started my collection back up and just been going strong ever since then. And then I've always desired to have my own comic book. So might as well. Why now? Now is better than any time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure, man. Now, you yourself, obviously you were just saying you're a fellow collector. Did you start that at a young age?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I started collecting when I was about, I'd say 9 years old or so. I come from a big military family. All my family were in the military. So, to be honest, Nam was one of the first comic books I ever started. I don't know if you remember that comic book, but
Yes, I do. It's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I don't know. We got 110 issues they had. So I had the whole collection for a long time and loved DC. I grew up a DC guy because of Justice League on Saturday mornings and Static Shock and all the other DC characters that were out at that time. But
Yeah.
certainly love Marvel as well. But yeah, just I love comics in general. I spend more time probably on the indie side of
Mhm.
comics just because I love everything that's happening within indie. I think it's exploding right now.
A lot
There's
of
a lot
cool
of
indie
really
stuff,
cool
man.
stories out there. Yeah.
So many. Well,
Yes.
what types of stuff are you into collecting? Like obviously comic books. What other stuff do you collect?
I'm a huge McFarlane fan. I mean, I've always loved Todd McFarlane. If you're in your 40s, you remember the 90s when comic books exploded. Of course, comic books took a big dive about 6 years later when everyone thought they were going to be millionaires when they were buying, Spawn 1 and all the other crazy stuff that was going on. But
Yeah,
man, McFarlane changed the game. Image Comics changed the game.
they
They
did.
certainly weren't the first in the indie scene, but they took indie comics to another level and really put it on the map. And I think people got a lot more serious about indie comics because of Image. So yeah,
No
I mean,
doubt.
Image was my favorite. Loved Todd McFarlane's art on Spider-Man, and then when he started doing Spawn, and then obviously all the others, Jim Lee, everybody else, Silvestri, all of those guys came over together, Liefeld, and they
Yep.
created something amazing that's still going very strong today. And they had a huge impact on me. So I was collecting everything Image and DC at the time, and then Fantastic Four I've always loved. What else, man? Obviously Spider-Man. A lot of really cool stuff, man, that I was collecting for a long time. But then I got married, started having a bunch of kids, and I actually sold a lot of my comics just to pay rent and all that good stuff
It
early on.
happened. It
Yeah, it
happened.
happens, man. So, I look back and no regrets, man. I did it for the right reason. But
Yeah, of
uh,
course.
yeah, years later, I'm starting to build up those comics again. It's funny how I'm buying stuff that I had one time. Of course, a lot more expensive. Instead of 90 cents an issue, they're going for a few $100s. But I'm trying to build up that collection again now that I'm a little bit older and I don't have as much responsibility.
I'm doing the exact same thing, man. A lot of those books that I had back in the day, I'm rebuying all of those. But,
Exactly.
but having a blast looking for them though, it's so much fun though.
It is fun, man. You get to travel. So I live in SoCal. My office is in San Diego. And I mean, San Diego has, there's a comic book store everywhere in San Diego. So
Nice.
on those days during lunch or after work, I'm hitting different comic book stores looking for those issues that I'm trying to find. And it's a lot of fun, man.
I bet, man. It would be nice because I don't know. We have a few here and there in Tennessee, but I would imagine you probably have a lot more in your vicinity out west in California
Yeah, I
than
mean, just
we.
the population alone, right? In
Yeah,
LA, Orange
yeah.
County, San Diego. I mean, we got comic book stores everywhere, which is great. So there's a lot of opportunities. And, we got Frank and Sons, which is one of the largest. I don't know if you ever heard of that before, but look it up. If you like collecting,
Uh-uh.
it's one of the best places in the US to do collecting. They got every toy imaginable, every figure imaginable, comic books, baseball cards. Frank and Sons is awesome. It's in City of Industry, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm writing it down right now.
A swap meet for comic and figure collectors. It's incredible, man.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that
Anything,
out.
Star Wars, anything.
Sweet. Well, I discovered you on IG, and through following you on there, I've gotten to see all the cool toys, different
Yeah.
things that you picked up. You do the toy hunts like I do, the Target toy hunts, all that good stuff. So I love watching other people do that stuff too. Can you tell the people at home a little bit about your IG and what they could find on there?
Yeah. I mean, so a lot of it's focused around my collections of McFarlane specifically. I do have quite a few Legends, but I actually really prefer the Marvel Select because they're
Yeah.
7-inch. They just seem to stand better for me. But I might be just doing something wrong with the Legends. But the Legends have all the characters that you're looking for if you're a Marvel fan, right? So
Yeah, they do.
yeah, they just have so many. It's awesome, and they do a lot of the obscure ones as well, characters, which I really love. And they got, I think, I don't know how many X-Men characters are in Marvel Legend, but it's incredible. But with Marvel Select, you might have 4 or 5 of the top ones that were part of like the cartoon and stuff like that. But Yeah, I probably have 300, 350 figures, most of them being McFarlane. I am out of the box collector. For all of you that are in the box collector, you'll probably get stressed out watching me tear open a box to pull a figure out. But I like displaying them and moving them around and all that good stuff. And unfortunately, I got one room where I could put my collection. If I were in the box, it'd be full now. So, but yeah, man, I love it. So you could watch, you can see behind me, man. This is mainly all of McFarlane right behind here. And there's about 240 or so. And then to my left, I have all my Marvel and Star Wars and my Funko Pops on other shelves over here. So I'll do a video after this and just post it on IG. Or if you go to my IG, you could probably find videos. And then all my comics are in a closet in, short and long boxes. And so, but then I got stacks. I'm sure a lot of the folks in the comment section, right? You're picking up your Wednesday comics and you're also trying to close out maybe collections. I got stacks of comics everywhere that I haven't even read yet. So, I'm trying to get through them as fast as I can, but you buy more than you could read sometimes,
Yeah. No, I know exactly how that is. And you got the cool comic book room. I love your setup, man. I love that setup. And I love your collection.
Yeah.
And that's what initially drew me to you, because I'm like, yeah, man, that dude goes out and he hunts and does all the same things that I do. So nah, man, and I really enjoy your IG. So if you guys have never checked him out on IG, be sure to go check him out.
It's under World at War Comics. That's where we have most of our following, but we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, we're on Threads now, we have our YouTube page. We got a bunch of things going on. So almost any social media platform out there, if you look at World at War Comics, you'll be able to see it.
Awesome. Now you mentioned, of course, you're a comic book collector as well. Did you say that started at childhood? Did I ask you that already?
Yeah. Around 9 years old, I started.
Yeah. Okay. That's right.
And I sold a lot of those. Unfortunately, when I got married, but I've been collecting for quite a long time, man.
And we talked about, I ask everybody if they're a Marvel or DC person. We've established you lean heavy towards DC, but you like both, correct?
I love both, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. No hate on Marvel at all. Marvel is obviously number one when it comes to comic book sales, and what they've done in the movies is, second to none. But I grew up a DC guy, man. I love Batman. I love Superman. I don't know. I just love Aquaman. I love it all, man. The Justice League was my thing growing up. I'm a big Green Lantern fan. That's my favorite of the DC world.
Awesome.
I enjoy it all though, man. But lately I read probably, 60% of the comics I'm reading is indie comics.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, you mentioned to me before the show that you were actually a huge indie reader, which I am too. And a lot of these guys that are watching, we all love independent comics. A lot of really good indie comics out there.
Oh, so many, man. I mean, AWA is up there at the top of my favorites. They're just pumping out so many good comics right now. But I love Boom. I love, obviously, Image Comics is pumping out a bunch of stuff. I just finished Torrent, which I hadn't read yet because it was in a stack. If you haven't read Torrent, man, it's such a good book, man.
I have not read that yet.
So good, man.
I'll have to look for it.
Yeah, Indigo Children has been amazing. Obviously, Something is Killing the Children is like just insane, man. I love it. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
Okay, well, I got a question that I ask everybody that comes on here. That's a comic book collector anyways. What is an early childhood memory for you involving comics? Because I just enjoy hearing people's childhood memories involving comic books.
Yeah. So, growing up, I had to earn money. So I was mowing lawns in our neighborhood, probably from like 8 to 13. I also had a paper route since I was like 8 years old. This is back in the days when you actually rode your bike for a paper route. So I did that until I was about 13. And then they did away with paper routes for kids. And then you had to own your own vehicle. So then my dad would wake up early in the morning, help me fold papers, and I would sit on the back of our pickup and throw them while he would drive. And we did that until I was about 18. So I was on a paper route for probably 12, 13 years, and my dad was part of it with me for a long time. But all the money that I earned, right, I would get paid for mowing lawns. I'd get paid immediately upon mowing a lawn. And I think I got paid once a week for the paper route. And once I got my paycheck or I got that coin from that lawn, I get on my bike, and it was probably about 5 or 6 blocks away from my house. I'd ride my bike up to the local comic book store and go buy whatever it was that I was trying to collect for that week, man.
Can you remember, like, when I was a kid, we had up the road from my house, it was Ken's baseball cards, and it was like half and half, like half comic books and half baseball cards. But that was like my local comic shop when I was a kid. Do you remember the name of yours?
I don't. I mean, if I remember correctly, it just said comic books on the front. I think it was very generic on the outside.
Okay.
But yeah, I shopped there for about maybe 5 years. John was the owner of it. I remember him. But
Okay.
he was a single guy, had a comic book store, and then he got married. And then his wife was working there for a while. And then once they started to grow their family, he ended up closing it and he moved up into the mountains close to our house. And so we didn't have a local comic book store for a very long time. So I'd have to, get my parents to take me to the local comic book store, which is pretty far away. I was born and raised in San Bernardino, here in Southern California. So it's a little bit of a rough city. So there wasn't a whole lot of comic book stores in that area. So we'd have to go to the next city. But we had a baseball card shop and it was called Rudy's. And like your shop, it was like maybe 20% comic books and 80% Garbage Pail Kids was real big growing up. So they had a lot of that, and obviously baseball cards and basketball and football cards, all that good stuff. So I would go to Rudy's and, you'd have to ask for a comic though if you wanted it, and he would order it for you. But he didn't have a very big collection, but that's how I had to get him in between, begging my parents to take me to the nearest local comic book store,
Yeah. Hey, Travis TM Nerdy wanted me to ask you, are you a fan of Animal Man? Have you ever read Animal Man?
I have. I've read a little bit of it. In fact, I just picked up an omnibus. I don't know if I have it right in front of me, but my local comic book store had the omnibus of Animal Man, and it was marked down 50%. So I picked it up. So I got to get into it. It's been a while since I've read it, but yeah, I'm very aware. Just haven't read it in a long time.
Sweet. There you go, Travis. He's an Animal Man fan. Well, what got you reading?
Like in the beginning of comic books?
Yeah, like what was it that made you pick up a comic book? Got you into it?
It started with Star Wars, right? Growing up, Star Wars had a huge impact. I'm almost 50. So I remember going to see Return of the Jedi in the theaters. I owned a beta of Empire Strikes Back. And then obviously I was pretty young when Star Wars came out. I think it came out in 78, 79, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but it was in the 70s. So I was way too young, but it had a huge impact on me, right? And after I watched it, someone said, you could read about it. They have a comic book about it. I'm like, what? So I had to find the nearest comic book store. And when I walked in, because my dad was a Marine, my grandfathers, both of them were in the Army in World War II, I ended up picking up Nam as my first comic book, but I also picked up some Star Wars stuff at the time. G.I. Joe was huge for me growing up. So I did start collecting that later on when that run started. But, Amazing Spider-Man, watching the Saturday morning cartoons, the live action TV show, like all that stuff had a huge impact on me. And I started there. Christopher Reeve's Superman was huge for me. So I started with the movies first and then got into the comic books when I found out comic books, really a lot of the movies were based off the comics, right? So that's kind of how I was introduced. And the minute I got my first comic book, I fell in love, man. It was just a way to escape whatever you're going through in life. I think we all go through things, and you get lost in a 26-page picture book with words, and you forget where you're at by the time you're done. And I love that feeling of just being in another world, another universe, getting lost.
Me too, man. Yeah, I feel the exact same way. That's actually a really good answer. How do you collect? Like, obviously you're a comic book collector, and we collect in many different ways, us collectors. Like me, I'm currently putting together a Dazzler run. I'm 4 issues away from completing that volume 1 run. Nice. Do you have any runs like that you collect, or are there anything in particular that you like to collect?
So Invincible has been one of my favorite comics in the last, 15 years or so. So I own every Invincible. That's probably one of the runs. Spawn, I have almost all of the Spawn. There's a few keys that I'm missing, but like the early stuff I already have, which to be honest, Spawn 1 is a dime a dozen. I think it's like $30 on eBay. So it's not super special if you have Spawn, but if you have it signed by Todd, it is.
Oh yeah.
But Spawn is one. I don't have a lot of collections of full runs. The way I've collected later on in life is really, any key issue, I'll try and collect if it interests me. A number one, I always buy the issue one, and if I like it, specifically for Marvel and DC, if I like it, then I go to the app and I continue to read it, unless there's like an issue, like I better get that because that's a pretty cool item to have in my collection. But for the most part, I read it off the apps for Marvel Unlimited and DC. Where I do have like full runs of a bunch of different stuff is indie comics. I'm a huge Godhood comics. If you've ever heard of Godhood, Tyler Martin's the owner. He has a run called The Antagonist where he has the first 8 issues done. He just had a Kickstarter, by the way. If you haven't read The Antagonist, dude, it is so crazy, man. It's such a good comic. The art is next level. It's about a family of villains. It's a husband and wife and the kids. They all have powers and they're villains. So early on in life, right, they're doing villain stuff. Later on in life, they go into hiding with their family and they get pulled back into, doing their super-powered vigilante and crime type stuff. But it is crazy, man. It's just
that sounds like super interesting. It does sound good.
Tyler Martin is right now working. He just got optioned for a TV show for it. So if you haven't heard of it, you could get the PDF. I think they're out of stock on the comics because it's just blown up. There is another run coming in August, so you could go to your local comic book store and they could get it through, I believe, Diamond. But yeah, check it out. You can get the PDF versions off the website, but it is next level. They just had another comic called Magnus come out. It's by Wiseacre Comics that is being published through Godhood. Another one that's crazy artwork, amazing. Those are the type of things that I'm collecting right now. What else, man? There's a lot. There's so many good indie comics. I'm just inspired constantly. Yeah. Sweet Paprika is incredible.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's a good one. It's a crack up, man. It's Katana Collins. She writes for DC right now for White Knight. She's amazing. By the way, an incredible writer. She does novels, some pretty risque novels, like love novels. And then she does comics on the side. Her husband also works for DC, but they work for DC. She also did Cherish, which is a run I have, which is a 6-part run for Dynamite Comics, which is really good. Another like vigilante, badass female character. She's amazing. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, as a writer, what are some indie titles that inspire you, like as being a writer?
Oh man, I mean, there's so many. The Boys,
good one.
Sure, is incredible. What else? I mean, there's so many. I don't know if I could pinpoint one, but there's a lot, man. I love. Colin Bunn, who is a horror writer, but he writes a little bit. Incredible writer. There's just a lot, man. Tyler Martin, who I just talked about. I've read his stuff. I love his style. Man.
What made you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say Something Is Killing the Children is great. James Tynion, obviously.
Well, Tynion is amazing.
He's killing it.
One of the hottest writers right now. Everything that guy does is gold.
Yeah. Everything, man. I was just going to ask, what made you get into writing? What made you actually want to what made you decide, like, I really want to create a book of my own?
Well, I think a lot of us that collect comics, right? We always doodle on a piece of paper and come up with our own characters, and you start writing out your own storylines. So I've done that for many years. To be honest, last year in October, I had a kidney replacement, and I was out of work for like 6 months. And during that time, right, I've had this story of Kingsville in the back of my mind and on paper for a long time with certain characters. And I was talking to my wife. I was bored out of my mind because I work a lot of hours like most of us. And all of a sudden, I'm just laying around all day recovering. I was bored, man. You can only watch so much Netflix. You can only watch so much of everything, right? And, you're reading as much as you can, but you get a little bored of that too. As much as I love comics, man, I can't do it 24 hours a day. And my wife knows I love comics. She knows I've had a story. And she's like, dude, why don't you just do it now? You're not going to be doing anything for the next 6 months. And so with her blessing, man, my kids are all 18 and above. So we don't have the overhead that we once had. Because I'll be honest, man, creating a comic book is expensive. Easy to do. Like it's the ability to create a comic is there for anybody. But you got to have some funding, right? And so I did a Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter was great, but it's not going to cover all your costs. So
Okay.
anybody out there writing a comic book, if you're doing a 26-page comic book and you want a really decent artist, you're
Yeah.
looking at $3,000 to $6,000 for a 26-page comic to get it all done and get it printed. So it's not
Wow.
cheap, man. Just depends on the artist that you have. But page rates are anywhere from $80 on the low end, which you're probably going to get low end work, to $300 a page and everything in between.
Wow.
And you got some of
Okay.
these amazing artists like Jorge or Pepe that is working with Mark Miller that are getting paid, $1,500 to $3,000 a page, if not more.
Man, I obviously I realized there's going to be some expense involved, but I didn't realize just how much. That's crazy, man.
That's why I'm slanging on a World at War Comics on IG and all the other social media, trying to get people to buy it, because
Yeah.
I'm about 10 pages through issue 2, right? And obviously, as you start to put more issues out there, people trust that you're in it for the long haul. And I get that, man. You don't want to be one and done and get done with the story and like, dude, you did one story and you're done, and you didn't even finish the story. Nobody knows what happened. And so I get that part too. And so I want to be consistent, but yeah, man, if you're creating comics, you need to sell them, right, in order to continue, for sure.
K-pop, hey, what's up? Well, okay, let's talk about your title, Kingsville, which I actually have right here
Nice,
beside
man.
me,
Right
which I
there.
read and I really liked. I thought it was cool, action-packed. It had some really cool characters in it. But I wanted to hear about it. Tell us about this title, Kingsville.
Yeah, you bet, man. So Kingsville is an island, and it's in a fake world, right? So I tried to purposely not use current, countries and that type of stuff, because I certainly don't want to offend anybody, or because there's a lot of things that could be offensive in the comic book. So I created my own world with about 40 countries, and Kingsville is one of them. And on the island of Kingsville, it's a mining community, but it's very north of the rest of the continents around the world. And so it's full of snow and ice for 6 or 7 months of the year, and then on that off season, right, they're mining, because that's their number one export of the country. And one of the things that they come across is a mineral called cyclodone, and they don't realize it at the beginning, but there's some really cool things you could do with cyclodone.
Okay.
Well, while this is going on in Kingsville, there is within a continent with all these different other countries, there is a nonprofit, almost I don't know what you would call it, but it's an organization called the Alliance for Global Safety. And it's run by a doctor by the name of Dr. Derrickson, or Dr. D for short. And what he's doing is he's trying to get member partners and member nations to join the Alliance for Global Safety. And in return, right, they're going to help with, trade agreements, ensuring that you have everything you need to run your countries. And also, he has been able to find out about this mineral called cyclodone, and he's been able to work with the country of Kingsville to, purchase that mineral, bring it into their facilities with their scientists. And what he's been able to find is there's something really unique you could do with cyclodone. And through, scientists working on this mineral, they've been able to create a drug called ferrodone. And when ferrodone is given in the right dosage, it could give you superpowers. So what Dr. Derrickson and the team there has done is created this team of superhumans. And as these nations become members of the Alliance for Global Safety, he is placing a superhuman in each of these nations to help these nations with crime, with whatever is needed within those nations. And when that happens, what they don't realize is Dr. Derrickson is also utilizing this army of superhumans that he has been able to build to do some things that are not so pleasant on the down low, while everyone else thinks he's doing all these great things. So issue 1 kind of starts there, where he has this team, and there's a lot of other people in this team that will come out in issue 2, but he's doing some nasty stuff, man. You got to read it to check it out. It's a pretty gruesome book. It's definitely for the more mature side.
Yeah.
I think you're going to like it. The artist, his name is Daniel Zay. It's a young guy out of Moscow that I've become friends with over the last year. Incredible guy. I could kind of open it up and show some of the art in here, man. I think it's pretty awesome. That is one of those scenes that I post quite a bit.
He did a great job on the inner artwork. It looks good.
Yeah, the artwork I think is top notch. here's cover A for it. And on the cover, his name is Collapse. And his one of his powers is
he's my favorite.
Yeah, he's pretty dope, man. He's pretty awesome, man. You'll see in issue 2, we'll go into more depth of his background because he has a pretty unique background. He's got a lot of issues, a lot of anger issues from the way he was raised and how he was raised. But this is our cover A, and Collapse. One of his powers is he could collapse into like a pool of liquid. So he's a big, giant, heavy-set guy, but he could turn into liquid. He could go real fast on the ground, up walls, under doors, all that good stuff. And when he comes up, he could take your head off. So he's not someone you want to be messed with because he also has super strength like any superhuman. Then we have our second variant. This is Snapback. And that's the one that you have there. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that, brother. Yeah, but Snapback, his ability, and in addition to like super strength, is his arms and legs could shoot out about 10, 15 feet, and then they snap back. And he has these serrated shoulder pads that he wears. And whenever he needs to, he pulls those off and puts them on his hands. And when his arms shoot forward and come back, he can just go right through you or take your head off. So these are the two main AGS superhumans that are in the first issue. And then we had a variant issue for the Kickstarters. So we made only 100 of these. Each of them are signed and numbered. And on the cover is Dion and Koa, and they work for Dr. Derrickson. And Dr. Derrickson is at his desk probably coming up with the plot of how to undermine whatever he's doing that is supposed to be good on the outside. So issue 2 is just going to get better. We'll go in more depth, and we'll have about 6 new characters that are revealed in issue 2, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. Well, it did leave me wanting more, so I am looking forward to seeing issue 2.
Awesome, man. Glad. Thank you.
Once you decided that you wanted to do this book, what was the process? Because I'm not very familiar. I've never done a book before.
Yeah.
Like if somebody wanted to go from nothing to having a book made like you did yourself, what's the process like?
So, I mean, the first thing you want to do is just start writing. I think anybody that reads comics, for the most part, probably have already thought of a story that they would love to write one day, right? I think as you're reading comics, right, you're like, dude, what if we did this? And what if this character did that? You're already starting the story process, right? So you just want to start writing things down. And as you start to do that, you'll come up with some sort of a theme. And as you come up with those themes, right, all of a sudden you start putting a story together. Now you got to put it into a format by page. You want to do it by block. And as you start to do that, right, your story starts to come through. And then you'll realize, how many books it'll take to tell your story. Is it going to be an ongoing story? Is it going to be a short series? Those type of things. The second thing, you want to find an artist that you could trust. And this is probably the hardest thing to do, man. I've been on Reddit. I get messages all the time from random people saying, hey, I'm an artist. I would love to work with you. Unfortunately, right, those folks, most of them probably are not the skill set that you want on a book because you need people to buy it. And unfortunately, right, the story could be amazing, but if the art doesn't look good, you're going to lose people right away. I mean, you got to grasp with the cover. And if they buy that and then they look inside and this inside doesn't match what the cover looks like, they'll never touch your stuff again, right?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty rough. And I've gone through artists that I'm like, they start with me and then they start good with like 1 or 2 characters and then it gets really bad. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So I'm very fortunate that I found a really good artist that is very consistent. We talk all the time. And he's amazing. Said young guy. So once you have your artist right, then you need to start building out pages, and you want an artist that understands how to format each page. And if they're a good artist, they're going to already know how to do that. And then you need a letterer. And I didn't have one. I've never done lettering. So I had to purchase a program. And with that program, I had to learn how to letter because I only got so many funds to build my comic book and I can't afford to do page rates on lettering. So I did my own lettering.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, once that's done, then you need to look for a publisher. And I use a company called Comic Wellspring. They're out of, I believe, Minnesota. Amazing, man. They do short runs of 25. And then obviously you get discounts the more you do. And then once you have a publisher, right, you send in your comic in PDF form. They print it out and give you a copy. There's where you want to dig in big time and make any corrections. And then they'll make those corrections and you print. And then you gotta start figuring out how you're going to sell them, right? Are you going to travel the US, going to Comic-Cons? Are you going to build out a website? all that good stuff. So while I was writing, I actually paid to build out a website, which could cost anywhere from, a few $100s if you know how to do it yourself to a couple thousand.
Okay.
Because you have to, it's a lot, man. I mean, I could write it down for anybody that's really interested, like all the steps that I had to go through. But it took me probably 4 months just to get to the point where, okay, now I could go to print and I feel comfortable that I'll have different avenues to sell my product.
Okay. Well, who all was involved? Obviously, you mentioned the artist that you connected with. Did you have anybody else that was involved, or was it basically just you and him paired up to do it?
No, it was me and him that did all the work within the comic book.
Okay.
But one very important person who is my editor, it's Ambrose Quintanilla. He is the owner of my local comic book store where I live, and he has been in the comic industry for many, many, many years, knows a lot of really good people within the industry. He's written his own comic books. He does more strip comics like you would see in a newspaper, that style of art. So he's an artist, very good artist. But he doesn't really do like, superhero comic stuff. But he's been in the industry a long time, so he really helped me a lot. He was instrumental for me getting finished. A good friend, an amazing human being, an amazing comic book store. I get all my comics there, but he was very influential. And then obviously my family was huge. So, if you're married, that if you're going to do anything that costs a lot of money, you better have your spouses or your significant others blessing on it, or it's not fun, brother, going forward. Man.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea, right?
It's a good idea, yeah.
What was your favorite part of creating the title?
To be honest, I just pulled out a US map and was looking for unique cities. My son lives in he lives in Texas near Kingsville, and I don't know, the name kind of rolled off my tongue. I don't know. I just picked it because of that. So there was no I didn't have a dream or been thinking about the name for a long time. I just came up with it, and I thought it'd be cool to have an island called Kingsville. So yeah, that's how that came about, man. It's in Texas and like Southeast Texas where my son lives. And yeah, that's how I came up with it.
Okay. Well,
a lot of the states and cities are cities that I grew up around, man. So you're going to see like San Bernardino, San Bernardino in the comic. You'll see Riverside. I mean, shout out to all the guys that I hung out with growing up in all these cities, Colton, Rialto. I was the one white boy in a Mexican neighborhood. So all those areas right around there are, the Mexican heritage and cultures had a huge impact on me growing up. My wife is Mexican. My kids are Mexican. So all those cities, man, I grew up in partying, house parties, all that good stuff. So I definitely want to throw some of those names in there. And because those cities have had a huge impact on my life, man.
Yeah, man. My daughter's part Hispanic, so
yeah, right on, man.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out, man. Yep.
So, the cities definitely had an influence on the cities that you picked in the book. Did you have any influence for the characters at all?
So I did. So all of the characters will be named after people within my family. So as we move forward, you'll start to see a lot of those names come forward. My wife's name is Marissa, and you'll notice one of the main characters, her name is Marissa. So yeah, just little stuff like that. You'll see at the very end on the last page is one of those other characters that I was talking to you about that will be more prominent in issue 2, and that is Lady Lex. And my daughter's name is Alexis, but she goes by Lex.
Okay.
Little things like that. A lot of family and friends will be added to the comic book for their names. As far as all the characters, I've had these in the back of my mind for a long time, man. Collapse with the powers that he has. I told you I was a big Fantastic Four fan, so Reed Richards. So it's definitely Snapback. I don't want to make it exactly like that, but I'll be honest with you.
There's some similarities, though.
Oh, there has to be, man. I will tell you, it's very difficult to come up with something super unique as a superhero. It's very hard, right? We got 100 years worth of comic books that have been written. I've read for 40 years comic books. Yeah. So you're going to be influenced by a lot of things, and I'm okay with that, man. These comics have had huge impacts on me, and I appreciate it. And so there's going to be similarities, but Yeah, I got a lot of characters that I've developed over the time, and you'll see all of them come forth in the next few issues for sure. What we'll do is we'll do
Awesome.
4 issues of Kingsville over the next year. So issue 2 should come out at the end of August,
Awesome.
early September. That's the goal. I'll have a Kickstarter that starts in August, and then either December, January will be issue 3, and then hopefully by the end of May or so, I'll have issue 4. And then we're writing a comic on Collapse because I really want to tell his story.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like Collapse a lot.
oh, he's amazing, man. And you'll see, man, he's an evil dude, man, and he's got a lot of anger issues. But when you see his background, you kind of understand what's kind of driving that.
Okay. Well, actually, my next question, you kind of answered my next question. I was going to ask you where you were planning to go with the title. Do you have an idea in mind of about how many issues, or just kind of going with the flow?
Yeah, I mean, definitely 4 to start. I mean, I would love
4
it for it to be an ongoing series, but I'll have 4 issues that'll come out first, and then I'll move to Collapse and do just like a one shot of Collapse because he also is my favorite character, and I really love him. And then I'll probably do like a one shot of Snapback because as you read the comic, Snapback is the leader of super humans for AGS, and he has a unique story too. He's kind of a jerk. You'll see, especially in issue 2.
That's another similarity to Reed Richards.
yeah, but he's not as smart. I mean, Reed Richards is kind of a jerk because he's brilliant, right? And he knows more than everybody. And I don't know if he's as much of a jerk as he comes off as a jerk because he has the answer for everything, right? Whereas Snapback is not that smart. He grew up as a jock. He's just kind of an asshole, to be quite honest. But he's willing to do whatever it takes to move forward and to get ahead. And that's why he's the leader of AGS Superhumans. But you'll see he's kind of a prick. And you'll start to see that come out a lot in issue 2 and 3 and 4. I don't know, you might like him, but I think there's going to be a lot of reason to hate him too.
Well, if someone that's watching tonight, if they're interested in picking up Kingsville, where can they find it at?
So, I mean, you could go to eBay and purchase it there. It comes with shipping. You could go to my website, www.worldatwarcomics.com. You could purchase it there. We have it in PDF form. We also have it in, obviously, in the floppy form. We also, on our website, have shirts, hats, all that good stuff. So if you want to walk away with an issue 1 cover A sweater or T-shirt, we got those. We got beanies. We got all kinds of stuff. We even got puzzles, man. So awesome. I don't know who likes puzzles, but if you do, we got them.
I like a good puzzle.
Yeah, man. You go there. You could go to globalcomics.com. That's global comics with an X at the end.com. And you could read it there for free if you're a member, if you have a membership, or it's $4.99 to read it off of there. So yeah, I think I'm covering pretty much everywhere you could read it. Or if you happen to be on the West Coast and see me at a Comic-Con, I won't be doing San Diego. It's a little expensive and I need to get issue 2 done, but I've done a couple in the last 2 months that are more local here in Southern California. I'm looking forward to do Pasadena, which is coming up. So I'll be at some of those too. If you happen to want it signed, just let me know and I'll sign anything you want signed.
Do you ever make it out to the East Coast?
That's my goal. I was just in Kentucky, and I know Kentucky just had an amazing Comic-Con. So I need to get out there. My family lives in Kentucky now. They've all retired and moved out there with other family that's out there. But yeah, I got to get out there, man. I love going on the East Coast. I love Tennessee.
Yeah, dude. Come to Tennessee, dude. Paid room and board, man. I'll get you put up somewhere. I'll get you set up real nice. Just come see me.
I love it, Scott. I'll take you up on that, brother. I did hear Heroes Con was amazing. So I need to get out there. It's huge.
Yeah.
I follow Heroes Con on Instagram, and I have a lot of other creator friends that went, and they said it's just incredible, man. Just such the Midwest, and this is not knocking anybody, man, but the Midwest has some amazing comic book fans. I got a few buddies in Indiana and out there, Illinois. It's just some really cool stuff happening in the Midwest around comics, and even in Kentucky, man. Like everybody's a comic book fan out there that I met, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man, I had to sit back and watch everybody have fun at Heroes Con this year, but next year I'm going. So
let's plan something, man. Let's plan something.
Yeah, dude. Let's
get something out, man. You could chill with me at the table and then do your own thing, brother.
How cool would that be, man? That would be awesome. Yeah, dude. I would love that.
Yeah, that would be
Circumstance. My brother Marcus, he's saying Kansas City as well.
Kansas City.
He's from
Absolutely.
Kansas City.
AC in the house. I love it, man. Yeah, my parents live in Nancy, Kentucky, which is a little itty bitty town, man, in Kentucky. But
okay.
yeah, we were just there, in fact, about 2 months ago, maybe.
So that's probably not too far from me.
No, I mean, from the airport in Tennessee, it's about an hour and 45, I think, 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's not far at all.
So that's probably 3 or 4 hours for me. That's not too
Okay.
bad.
Yeah. I'm in Tennessee, man.
Are you talking about the airport in Nashville?
In Nashville, yeah. In Nashville.
Yeah, I'm about an hour and a half from Nashville, I think. So
away from Kentucky. So you're about 4 hours from Kentucky?
I would be, yeah,
Like,
man, probably 3 or 4 hours, somewhere in there.
Yeah, we flew into Nashville and flew out of Nashville. So, like I said, it was probably close to 2 hours, to be honest. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Well, what is it about comic books that keeps you coming back? What is it that you love that makes you want to continue forward with the hobby, as far as collecting, as far as writing, just all of it?
To be honest, the community is amazing. I love the comic book community. So, I got my YouTube thing just like you, Scott. Although you're better at operating yours, man. Yours looks pretty awesome.
I'm learning, man. I'm still learning.
You're doing quite well, my friend. But
thank you.
The community that, we're so eager to help one another. I love that. I see like a political side come in, which I'm just like, don't bring that into this, man. I love escaping all that. There's plenty of it outside of comics. But I know it's part of people's life, so I get it. Like no shots at anybody, but I love that we could come together as a community and help one another out. And I hate when there's like this political divide in comics that exists everywhere else we go, right? I don't care who you are. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what your political beliefs are. If you have a great comic book, I'm down to read it, man. I love comics. I love the story. I love the character development, the universe or world development of comic books. I mean, there's some amazing people out there that have come up with some insane ideas that just blow me away. And you walk away going, man, I wish I was that creative, man, because they are just next level. I mean, we talked about some of them, right? James and what he has been able to build over the last couple of years, probably 4 years. And he's been around for a while, but like the last 4 years, the guy's exploded with Something Is Killing the Children and a bunch of other stuff that he's done too, man. It's just
and it's funny that you say that, because actually my next question was who are some of the writers and artists that who are some of these like indie writers that you're talking about that you would like to work with if you could, like writers, artists, any of them?
Yeah, I mean, my like lane within comic books is more on like the superhero side of it, whereas Tinian is more on that horror side. But I would love to work with that guy. That guy is brilliant at writing. Robert Venditti is incredible. If you ever read Exo Man of War, he probably has the best one ever. He had a Hawkman run. I don't know how long ago it was, which was absolutely incredible. I mean, he made Hawkman what it is today. Who else? Obviously Robert Kirkman. I'm a huge Invincible fan. Like I said, it's one of the only runs I have every single issue of, and that's because he's one of my favorite characters. And it's funny, someone wrote in one of my comics that Collapse looks like if Invincible let himself go. And I didn't even realize, right? Like
the color scheme is similar,
theme, right? So I didn't even realize the color theme was the same until someone did it. But no doubt, because of my love for Invincible, that was probably, in the back of my mind when I created the color scheme for him, right? But I love Robert Kirkman. I mean, you talk about writers that have been hot for a long time. I mean, who's hotter than Robert Kirkman right now? That guy's incredible. He just came out with Void Rivals, which is going to be the door to this whole new universe with Transformers.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
So excited.
Daniel Warren Johnson on a Transformers title.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All day long, man. All day long. Yeah. And then obviously all the Image guys. I mean, Mark Silvestri, what he's doing with Joker at DC right now is one of the best runs in DC. Mark Waid, his run of World Finest right now is probably one of the best DC runs.
I've heard good things. Yeah.
One of the, let me think, I'm losing his name right now. Jeremy Adams, who was writing The Flash and he just moved to Green Lantern. Watch out for this guy. He is going to be one of the best writers, I think, at least for DC, in the next couple years. This young guy is such a talent.
Okay.
He's absolutely amazing, man. And
I've
I hope
heard the name.
and his stuff. But he did the Flash run, I think, from Flash 768 to 800 he did, and it's at 800 right now. So it'll go to a new writer. And, of course, they're doing this Night Terrors thing at DC, so all of those will be on hold. But in August when he comes back, oh, man, he's another one to watch out for. But, I mean, I could go on and on, man. There's a lot of writers that are influencing me, and that's what I love indie comics about, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are some of your goals that you have set for yourself for the future?
I mean, I would love to have an ongoing series that is successful enough to feed itself from a financial standpoint. At this point in my life, I'm not looking to try and get rich off of comics. That's not why I did it. It truly is a hobby and a passion project.
Okay.
Short-term goals, I want to get through 4 issues, and I want it to be successful enough to continue a 5th. Once I get to 4, I will put it into like a trade and then put the trade up on the website. And throw it on Amazon and all that good stuff. Because I do believe that those are 2 completely different comic book fans. You have your floppy fans that look for those, issue 1s or runs. And then you have your trade fans that just kind of sit back for, the first 4 or 5 issues of anything. And then they get the trade.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah. I think they're different buyers, right? Again, I have a little bit of both, but I'm more floppy, right? So I think most fans are either one or the other for the most part, but they might own both. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Those are my short-term goals. I still got a few years that I have to work, so that has to come first before everything.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I didn't come from a wealthy family, and I don't have a lot of money sitting around. So the good thing is all my kids are older, so I could use some of the money that was going toward them. Not that I don't still spend a lot of money on them. It's funny, if you're a parent and you have kids over 18, they never are on their own, right? You have a financial connection forever, it seems.
Yeah, they're always going to need you.
They're always going to need you, right? And I need them too, so it works out. But those are some of the goals right now, man.
Well, what are some things that we can expect from you in the future with your Instagram, with your YouTube, with World at War Comics, Kingsville, everything? Just what can we expect from you coming up?
Well, like I said, in late August, early September, we'll have issue 2. I think you're going to love issue 2. We're working with Daniel Zay. Will do all the art for the inside of the comic, and we partnered with Will Torres. He is an artist for Marvel. He's actually worked for Dynamite on Boys. He does a lot of cover art right now. He's the king of cons right now on the East Coast, mainly the Northeast. He's I don't want to get this wrong because you know how you get people pissed off from the New York area, so I can't remember if he's from Brooklyn or so. Will, if you hear this, I'm sorry, man. I'll have to go back to Instagram and remember exactly where you're from. But he's a Northeast guy, amazing human being, incredible artist. So he did our cover A and cover B for issue 2, which you could see online on my Instagram right now. It's not complete yet, but you can kind of see where we're going. And actually, at the end, you could see in the comic that you have on the very last page, I kind of do a little bit of a reveal back there. So that's just a very rough draft of the issue 2 A and B. And then I can't really talk to it now, but we have a cover C that we're partnering with another group with that is going to be freaking awesome. It'll be a limited quantity, all signed. It's going to be incredible. But yeah, to get to work with Will Torres has been awesome. Great guy. There is a new Marvel game called Snap. I don't know if you have heard of it, and some
I've heard of it.
Followers. So most of the art, or a lot of the art that was done on Snap was Will Torres as well. So the guy's been around for a very long time, and just is incredible. So, we reached out and we worked out a deal, and he's helping us with issue 2, and we're looking for that next artist for issue 3. We have another artist in our back pocket that works for Marvel currently right now that we're thinking about using for issue 3. So I really want to go all out. I want to put something forward that is quality. And I'm learning a lot in issue 1. I think we have pretty good quality in issue 1. It's just going to get better and better as we get to that issue 4. And then that trade will be locked and loaded. And that should come out hopefully like March, April, May timeframe of 2024. Yep. Man. And then YouTube, I mean, just like you, man, I'm interviewing folks on a weekly basis, mainly on the weekends.
Okay.
You could check me out at World at War Comics on YouTube. So yeah, I mean, follow me everywhere. I'm very active. I have a 20-year-old daughter who understands social media better than I do, so she helps me out with how to post. So I put
That's
a lot
great.
of draft, and then she kind of sends it out during the day and throughout the week when I'm working. That way, my boss doesn't go, "What the hell are you doing, man? You're supposed to be."
Well, what kind of people are you interviewing on your YouTube? Do you have any cool guests or anything?
Yeah, man. I mean, we've had Colin Bunn on. We've had
Holy crap, man.
Yeah, we had Daniel Kraus on recently. I've had Kari Andrews, who works for Marvel right now on Spider-Man, and he did Erratic for AWA. You want
Yes, I loved that title.
Erratic is incredible. It's one of
It
my
was
favorite
good.
comics. And so I reached out to him, and he came on the show, and we talked about Erratic. I had Katana Collins, who we just got done talking about.
Yeah.
With Sweet Paprika, and then she's doing the White Knight series of the Joker right now for DC, and she did Cherish for Dynamite. Man, I'm leaving people out. I had Tyler Martin on, who's the owner of Godhood Comics. I mean, we've had about 40 so far. So, but we've had some really cool people, man, and at all different levels, right? We've had amazing creators that created their own comic, just like I did recently, to people who have been in the industry and worked for Marvel and DC, and they've been doing it for 30 years. So, I'm fingers crossed that we'll have Jeremy Adams on at the end of this month. I talked to him, and he's down to come on. So, yeah, man, we're David Boer, who I talked to you about before we got on. If you like that comic book Kanto, which is also one of my favorite comics, I love
Kanto.
I hope they make it into like an animated series, to be honest. I think that would be a lot of fun.
It would.
Yeah, he's an incredible human being, an amazing guy, and an incredible writer. And he's currently doing the run of Dungeons and Dragons. He has his own series on Boom called Spec, which is a crazy like horror comic where you put these glasses on, and you see things that you don't want to see. It's awesome. Check it out. Yeah. He also wrote Killer Queens. If you haven't read that, it's freaking hilarious.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Awesome. So who else, man? We've had a lot of really great people on, man.
Damn, it sounds like it.
And then we do some stuff with as you could tell, I love action figures. So we had Ty. He goes by Spawn Hunter. So follow him on Instagram and all that good stuff. And he is probably the biggest Spawn collector in the United States. There's not much things over the last 30 years Spawn that has come out that he doesn't already have.
Durst.
Oh yeah, go follow him. I mean, he has every single action figure ever made, every comic. He has Zippos that were made in Japan by Spawn, that you can only get in Japan. He has comics from around the world of Spawn. So I had him on the show because I love Spawn as well. If you follow on TikTok, House of Geekery, LT is his name, Flores. He's actually sponsored now by McFarlane, but he has every McFarlane character ever created, and he's an in-the-box collector. So he has his apartment, every single room from floor to ceiling has McFarlane toys. His entire house is like that. Because he's an in-the-box collector and he owns every single one. So if you want to know anything about McFarlane toys, or Batman, because he's a huge Batman fan, he's the guy. So I have these guys on, and we just talk our passion about collecting, right? And then for some of the movies, which you got to come on next time, Scott, we had a roundtable for Flash. The good and the bad about Flash that just
man, I'd love anytime, man. I would love to.
Have you. I love your content too, Scott, man. That's why I followed you, and we've been going back and forth online. So I'm super happy to be on your show, man. But I would love for you to be on our show. And let's I think we have Blue Beetle coming up next that we're going to do one on. So it'll be fun to come in and talk about Blue Beetle, which I'm super excited about. But yeah, man, I mean, like I said, it's a community. It's not about me being better than anybody. Let's help each other out. If there's anybody I could ever introduce you to, please let me know. Another guy that's awesome is Keeping It Geekly. He's very active on Twitter. I mean, he has a show. He's done over 400 episodes now, interviewing comic creators, mainly independent comic creators. And his name's Cody, another amazing guy, always willing to help. And he's helped me out. I reach out to him all the time, man. He's a great guy.
I just wrote him down. I'm going to check him out.
Check him out, man. Great guy. He's on Twitter. that's where I usually talk to him a bit. I'm sure he's on the other channels as well, like Instagram and maybe TikTok. I'm not sure, but check him out. He's awesome.
Awesome, man. Well, it sounds like you got a really cool show going. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, check it out, man. We had a really good one with Devin R. Scott, and he's a writer for Magnus, which is part of Wise Acre Comics and Godhood Comics. And he has his own comic company called Epic Fantasy, and it was fun, man. I think he's an up and coming talent too that you'll start to see do writing for a lot of other comic creators because he's that good. He's really good.
Cool. Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want to talk about or promote or anything while we still got another minute or two?
No, I think I talked about myself enough, man. Get out there, go to worldatwarcomics.com and check us out. Pick up our comic book. Follow us on everything. I mean, I'm on even obscure like Hive. I thought, everyone said Hive was going to be big in social media. I
thought it was.
Yeah, it's not big at all, but I'm on there. I'll post once in a while, but yeah, I get like one like on anything I do, man. Instagram is where I spend a lot of my time.
Yeah, you're very active on IG.
Yeah, and that's where we probably have our biggest following on IG. So that's where I started, and that's where my biggest following is. I'm really big on TikTok. I'm on Threads. You name it, I'm on. But I'm also open to anybody, man. If you ever have questions, you're trying to create your own comic book, just let me know, man. I'll make time for you. Like I said, I'm in it for the community. I love the community. I'm in it for the stories. I don't care who you are, what your background is, what you enjoy, what you don't, what your politics are. If you have something cool that you think I should read, I'm down, man. I will read anything, and I'll give it a try. And I try to stay very positive, man. I keep the negativity for other people that are really good at that stuff. And don't get me wrong, man. I follow a couple people that have some shows that are more on the negative side, but man, I'll thank you. I appreciate that. Dr. Vaughn.
Yeah, shout out Hoot.
Yeah, so I keep everything very positive. I rarely will say anything negative just because it's really hard to do what we're doing. Yeah, man. Hey, if you could send me some of the folks in the chat, man, I would love to follow them on social media too, Scott, man. This is awesome. Just building that community and helping one another, man.
Yeah, I love this community, man. It's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely get you connected with a lot of the people in here. I'll send you, because a lot of these people that are watching tonight are my close friends. They're all really, really awesome people. And yeah, dude, I love this community so much. Crap, it seemed like there was one thing I wanted to ask you, and now I'm forgetting it. Oh yeah, okay, I remember. I wanted to end it with this one last question.
Sure.
What is something that like say somebody at home wanted to get into writing and do a comic book like you created? What is some advice that you would give somebody?
Yeah, I think what you need to do is just do it. A lot of times, and I did this for years, and that's why I think I could relate. I've had this story in my head. I've jotted it down, and then you crumble it up. You throw it in the trash, and then you just go about your work. What I would say is start writing now. If you have a story, put it on paper, man. Because remember, comic books is different than writing a novel. It's not just paragraph after paragraph, right? But you want to start with paragraphs. Write the story that you want to tell, and then once you're done writing it, then you need to break it down, right? And you got to put it in panels. And when it comes to writing comic books, great comic books, at least the comic books I love, you could see this dance or this partnership between the writer and the artist. Because remember, 50% of your story is going to be told by an artist because you're limited to how much you could write on a page. And so because of that, you have to have a really good connection with your artist to help you tell that story. So that means your artist needs to understand what you're trying to accomplish. So being the creator and the writer is one thing, but having an amazing artist that understands what you're trying to accomplish and buys into what you accomplish is key to a great comic book. And because, like I said, man, it's a dance. And if one of you get the dance move wrong, you're stepping on toes. And as a reader, and all of you that are listening right now, you could probably think in the back of your head a recent comic book that you read that you were like, man, I thought this was going to be a lot better than it was. And a lot of times is the writer had an idea that the artist just didn't get, and there wasn't that connection between them two. So when you write your paragraphs, then you want to put it into a form and then really work with your artist to be able to do art that helps tell the part of the story that you can't tell in the little bubbles. That is really important. So start writing right now and then put it in short form in bubbles, and then start finding that artist that you'll have a connection with, that one is great at art, but two could help tell your story. That is crucial.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Well, dude, I wanted to thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us so much. It's been a blast, and I enjoyed the book. You guys go check out. You can pick it up at World at War Comics, like he was saying before, Kingsville. It's really good. I'm looking forward to issue 2, man. And I had a blast talking to you, like I said before. Thanks again.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And just so you know, anybody that buys the comic,
Yeah,
because I literally buy, $50 to $80 a week of comics, a lot of independents. And this is stupid because I haven't put them into a system to know what I have. A lot of times I end up buying a comic I already had at home. So I have a stack of comics like this. I always throw in an extra comic. I always put free stickers. Once in a while, I'll throw a McFarlane toy in there. So
that's awesome.
if you do buy a comic, man, just know you're going to get other freebies in there too.
Hell yeah, dude. That's really cool, man. So something to look forward to if you decide you wanted to order a comic book from him. But I wanted to thank you, and I wanted to thank you guys at home who showed up and checked out Thomas and his book and hung out with us tonight. I really appreciate it. Much love, guys. And thanks to anybody catching the replay. I appreciate you guys so much. Be sure to check out Comic Book Addicts next Monday at 7:30 Eastern Time. Charlotte from Cadis is going to be back. We're going to have a recovery themed show. It's going to be awesome. It's been a little while since we talked some recovery, so I'm ready to have a good recovery related show. So I'm looking forward.
Man. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's going to be good. But for right now, flip over to Between the Lines with TM Nerdy and Geek Out with Roscoe. That is on TM Nerdy's channel this week. And they have special guest Izzy from Izzyverse NYC. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
Later, Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you.
I'd say that one is a banger, man. It's a real certified banger, dude.